Okay, I'm just setting the live stream up. It won't be long. Okay, so this evening we are at Rhode Island, Providence, Rhode Island, in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024, and we're here with the Inibuilds A320 V2, the one that comes with the simulator. We're going to have a good look around Rhode Island. Obviously, it's a new piece of scenery available from Inibuilds. So we're going to first of all go and use the drone camera to fly around the perimeter of the airfield just to see what's modelled, how well it's been done. I'm just going to move my microphone slightly. So let's come straight down, and so the ground is a texture, it's not actually grass. That's interesting. What about over this side? So this is grass. Sorry, I'm just being a bit of a scenery nerd now. So there's a patch there that hasn't got grass on it. Anyway, let's carry on round. So I'm guessing this is one of the old towers, because the actual airfield is enormous now. Look, if you look out across the airfield. Okay, so we can carry on along the hangars, have a look around. The FedEx building. There's something really odd going on here. The scenery is loading tiles in as we move. It's having a bad day, isn't it? But we'll ignore that. Look, it's doing it here as well. Now, I wonder if this is a conflict with... Was Rhode Island already in the simulator, do you think? Is that what's going on here? Or is this just the simulator having a bad day with the scenery? Or Asobo doing an update in the middle of us using it, which they have done in the past. Okay, so if we whiz up to this end of the airfield, so we've got some lights and the windsock. So although it looks really dark, there is actually stuff in here, look. So we'll jump out of the control tower. So Veyron then. So we've got a FedEx building. So just looking around the perimeter of the airfield, there's quite a lot of buildings around the edge of it that appear to be custom buildings as well. So the tiling's gone away now, look. I think it's just the simulator having a bad day. So there's a common scenery issue here, look, where the shaders are not affecting some of the 3D structures. I've seen this on some other developers' sceneries over the last few years, So if we were to put this on a sunny day, you wouldn't notice it. I'll show you what I mean. So you see where this has got a lot of contrast here. It's the shaders aren't affecting it from the atmosphere. So if we were to turn the live weather off, see, you wouldn't notice. So if we go a few clouds, for example, well, just while we're having a look around. It's interesting, isn't it? So code is saying sim update 16 dropped for 2020 users. This is 2024 we're looking at. So the 2024 users are busy waiting for sim update 3 to come out of beta. When that might be, nobody knows. So look, there's an aeroplane just spawned in from the AI. It's about to go and get the jet bridge attached to the aircraft. So the question is there an inside to the airfield or the airport buildings? And yes, there is. I'm just going to slow the drone camera down remarkably because it was far too fast. We're going to go for a wander through the terminal. Should we have a stop and look and see how well modelled the people are? They're not bad, are they? Not bad at all. So we carry on down. I have no idea where I'm going, by the way. I haven't scouted this out beforehand at all. We're just having a nose around the airport, so you're seeing it for the first time, as am I. So we come out through the glass at the end. So that was the long building. I wonder if there's an insides to any of the rest of it. So we're going to break immersion and fly through the wall to find out what is modelled. Yeah, so the main departure and arrival building has been done as well then. So you've got all the gates. And they've done it really nicely actually, haven't they? Very cool. So let's have a look and see what the textures are like here. Can we actually read any of this stuff? Just about. That is mad, isn't it? It's a really nice structure. Obviously it helps with the sunshine streaming through. So I'm guessing anybody that knows Providence, Rhode Island would know this place well and would be able to attest to how accurate it might or might not be. So do we get the hall through here? Yeah, so we get departures, look. The cafe and very cool. And there's obviously a sculpture here that is in the real airport. Very cool. And then we can come along and whiz all the way further down here. It's incredible, isn't it? The amount of detail that goes into these airports these days is just stunning, really. So here's our little aeroplane, sitting on the edge of the gate, waiting for us. So just before we do go and look at that, should we go and have a nose around the central buildings here, because there's this walkway across the airport. I wonder if the inside of that is modelled as well. I wouldn't be surprised. So we've looked around this building directly below us. Yep, they modelled it. That's very cool, isn't it? And then we're out into the car parks. Obviously, they never bother putting the cars in the layers of the car park because it would just eat the frame rate. Okay, so there appears to be quite a lot of 3D assets just away from the edge of the airport that have been modelled. I don't know whether this is part of the flight simulator scenery or part of the airport complex. It's a really realistic looking radio mast. Right, should go back over to our aeroplane. So this is Providence, Rhode Island from Inibuilds. I'll put a link later on the notes of the video for you to be able to go and have a look at it in their store. Okay, so I'm going to put the Xbox controller to one side. And I'm going to open up my instructions for this aeroplane on another screen, just so I don't miss anything too obvious. Although, having said that, the Airbus isn't really that difficult to learn, is it? Okay. So I wonder if we go and press Shift and X, which puts us inside the aeroplane. I'm just going to try out the custom views to see what views I've got. So if I wanted to go, where are we? Alt 1, fantastic, I've got custom views, and Alt 2 will take us down to the MCDU. So that roughly agrees with the functional procedure that I've written up for myself. We don't have to do much. I've already uncovered the engines and the chocks. So we're going to go Alt 1 and we're going to go and turn the batteries on. Turn the external power on because it is available. I'm just going to go and check the volumes. So I'll turn it up so you get to hear stuff happening. Well, that is a bit loud actually, isn't it? We're going to put strobes on auto, I think they already are. Nav and logo to 2. Master switch for the auxiliary power unit comes on, and then start the auxiliary power unit. While we're waiting for that, we can go and put the crew supply on. Then we can arm the emergency exit lights, which are down here. Turn the no smoking and seatbelt signs to auto. Go and align ADIRs. This is the... I can never remember exactly what ADIR stands for. It's Air Data Inertial Reference System, I think. Okay, so down in the cockpit, we'll go and check the brightness of the screens. They're obviously already booted up. That was rather fast of them, wasn't it? So they all look super bright. That's fine. So then Shift and 5 takes us over to the tablet. I think it's already got my Inibuilds, my SimBrief name in here. Yes, it has, look. So if we come back, we can fetch the plan from SimBrief that I've already filed. So we're going to be virtual 073 tonight. We're going to use SayIntentions in the background, so we'll be calling through for clearance in a minute. So we can now see the operational flight plan. We can then go into, let me get this right, into the dashboard page. We've done that. Go to payload, pull it from SimBrief, apply the load to the aeroplane. We'll do it instantly so we don't have to wait around for ages. That's gone and calculated now the center of gravities. So you can see the numbers all changing. So the live gross weight has now changed. Then we can go to the takeoff page and we can sync the numbers in here. We do need to put the weight in though, so we can go and look in payload and get 65.8. So if we come up here, we should be able to type it with the keyboard. 65.8. And then calculate, and that will calculate our takeoff numbers. We can send that to the FMGS. Flight Management Guidance System, I think it stands for. So Multi-Purpose Control and Display Unit, or MCDU. We're going to jump over then to the unit that programs the aeroplane. We're going to clear out any messages at the bottom. Go to FMGC. Then we're going to go to init and do an init request. And then we're going to go IRS init just to check that everything's in here and come back out. We can clear the message again. And then go next page and go and get the block fuel and pre-calculate the zero fuel weight from the FMGC data. If we go sideways again, we're back on that page again. So we can press the flight plan button and then we can go and configure our departure. So from KPVD, so Providence, Rhode Island. Let's go and have a look at the SimBrief plan. So we're taking off runway 23. There is no standard instrument departure. We're going direct to the first waypoint. So, but we do need to put in runway 23. So no SID, and we can just insert that into the flight plan. Obviously it's going to leave a discontinuity, and the reason for that, if I show you on the chart, is if we zoom out here. Let's put this back onto auto IFR, so it cleans it up a little bit. So notice, yeah, getting from the runway to the first waypoint, there's no direct plan. There's no SID, for example, no standard instrument departure. So until we get to the first airway, we've really got, no direct way, or not first airway, even the first waypoint. So the gap to Putnam, or I say Putnam, what's it actually called? Let's go and check. Oh, it is Putnam. The Putnam VOR. So the route to get there is not set in stone. So we're going to just clear up that discontinuity. So if we come back in here, we can use the clear button in the Airbus to do that. So then we need to arrange how we're going to get into Rochester. So we'll go and select arrival. And we'll go and refer to our SimBrief plan. We're coming in runway 04 and it's direct. But that's what this plan says. That doesn't mean it's necessarily direct, because that would mean flying straight into the airport from a strange angle. So I've gone and chosen. This may differ from what we get from SayIntentions, by the way. We may get vectors. But we're just going to put in ILS runway 04 on the G transition, because it gives us a nice turning point before we get there. So the G transition takes us out to the G, or the Geneseo VOR, and then we turn in for the ILS. Yeah, so we want runway, what was it, 04 with the G transition. So let's go and have a look in the airplane. ILS for 04, and it hasn't got the approach in there. Can we do it through going insert? not going to allow it, is it? But we can have a look through and put the G1 in if we need to. I think there might be a bit of a shortcoming in the airplane, you know. I might be wrong. So there's Warris, then Croc 04. Again, I'm not going to get too worried about this. There's Warris. Okay. So before Warris, it's got Feepug. And before that, it's got Saya. So the only thing it's got missing is G before Feepug. Yeah, so we'll put in G, E, E, put it on top of Feepug, which should push Feepug down. And it has. Yeah, so you can see that it's got G now, Saya, G, Feepug. So then we can clear the discontinuity. Oh, we have to insert first, sorry. I always forget that. So then we can clear the discontinuity, and we've got roughly the same thing that we had on our plan, which is good. So we can go then to the performance data, and we can, you don't have to fill all of this in, you can just say confirm the takeoff data from the tablet. Yeah, and it just fills it all in one go. We can clear the message. Always clear the messages, otherwise you don't know why they've come up. Next. So we've got the climb information, that's fine, cruise information, descent information, and then we've got the approach for the other end. We won't fill that in until we're en route. Okay, so let's press shift and space. Is it going to let us do it? Why is the simulator? Oh. What is going on? It thinks that that is the forward view. That is. Oh, there was a good glitch. So we'll go and press the comma key, which will calibrate the altimeter. Oh, we turned the weather off, didn't we? Should go and put it back on now. So, because we want the weather to be accurate. Oh, this is the wrong place to do it. It's in here. Let's go and put the live weather back on. So, before we get too much further then with getting the airplane ready, let's go and talk to clearance. So we're at Theodore Francis Green, that's the full name of Providence, Rhode Island. We're going to go to ATIS first.
Arrow at Niner.
And we've got information
Niner.
Oscar. Okay.
Sky conditions. View at 20,000
So clearance. Providence clearance, virtual 073. Requesting clearance for plan as filed to Rochester. Now I didn't ask them, or I didn't tell them the information we had, but they usually will fill it in anyway.
Just a second.
So we just wait for the controller to come back.
Virtual 073, cleared to Rochester. Radar vectors Putnam, then as filed. Climb and maintain 3,000. Expect flight level 38010 minutes after departure. Departure on 123.675 squawk 5614. Expect runway 23.
Radar vectors for Putnam VOR, then as filed. Climb and maintain 3,000. Expect flight level 38010 minutes after departure. Departure on 123.675 squawk 5614. Expect runway 23. Virtual 073.
Virtual 073, read back correct.
Okay.
Clearance on request, stand by.
Roger, Mr. 555 is cleared to Newark Liberty, radar vectors to Providence, and it's filed. Climb and maintain 4,000, expect 16,000, 10 minutes after departure. Departure on 123.675, squawking 3641, expecting runway 23.
We have got a ground frequency here, haven't we? Yeah. So I'm going to set us on, actually I'm going to put us on radio check while we're just getting the airplane ready. So, just to keep it quiet. We need to go and put the transponder on then, 5614. Let's go and have a look down here. 5. Oh, you have to clear it out first, don't you? And I can never remember how to do this. Clear, clear. There you go. 5, 6, 1, 4. Going to put this on. Actually, leave it on standby until we're on the runway. We'll put this on auto, and we'll turn this on, and we'll put the flap lever back where it came from. And we'll flip this up so we can see things in the cockpit. Okay, so we'll deal with the rest of it as we're getting the airplane ready. So we're going to need to put 3,000 feet in and a target altitude of 380 for cruise. We're going to, then that is the next thing we need to do actually, is come in here. So 3,000 feet for our initial climb out. Now you'll notice we have got no managed, we've got no managed mode showing up. That's because the flight directors aren't on yet. So that's on our laundry list of things to do, and suddenly you have managed mode because we've got a programmed flight plan. Yeah, and that is a solid line on here, is the other indicator that we've got a good flight plan. If you'll notice, watch the line. If we go to selected heading, actually that's different to some of the other airplanes. Some of the other airplanes you get a dotted line if you're in selected mode. So there you go, managed mode, and maybe I'm thinking of Boeing's. Been flying too many planes recently. Okay, so we got an immediate right turn almost after takeoff, so we'll have to watch out what we're doing really. What else do we need to worry about? So speed is managed, heading is managed, altitude will be managed by the airplane. We need to go and calibrate the QNH because we turned the weather back on, didn't we? So that's all done. Okay, so overhead we'll go and turn the seatbelts to on now. And then the APU is obviously up and running by now. So we can go and remove the external power, come down to the tablet, go to the ground app, get rid of the GPU, remove the chocks and the covers. They were already removed, I think. Let's just double check that I've not put them back on before I start the engines up, otherwise we'll suck the covers into the engines. I don't think it actually simulates that, but it would be funny if it did. Okay, so we can request pushback and engine start. So we're going to go back over to the ground frequency. Providence ground, virtual 073, requesting pushback and engine start. Interesting. Providence ground, radio check, virtual 073.
Virtual 073, loud and clear.
Providence ground, virtual 03, requesting pushback and engine start.
Virtual 073, pushback and engine start approved, tail southwest.
Pushback and engine start approved, tail southwest, virtual 073. So that's because we're taking from runway 23, isn't it? So they want us the tail to go to the left. Let's just double check that. So yeah, runway 23 for takeoff. So we need to go over here and we're parked here. So tail to the left. So let's press Alt and P. So there's a bit of a queue over there, but looking at it to get onto the runway. So if it starts going right, and it's going to, look, we're going to force it to go left. Get rid of the shade. That's one of the keyboard keys that does that, and I can never remember. Or maybe it's one of the buttons on here that makes it happen. You could be starting the engines during the pushback. I haven't got octopus hands to do 14 things at once. Okay, so they're stopping us right there. So let's go and put the parking brake on. And we're going to go and get ready to start the engines. So the beacon light goes on. Fuel pumps, come on. The APU bleed can come on. So we're routing the compressed air from the APU now to the engines to spin them up. So down in the cockpit, if you watch the switch here, I'm going to use my controls to do it. We're going to rotate the ignition. You see the displays have changed to reflect the engine state. And we are going to switch on engine number 2, the right engine. There's this big debate at the moment. I think the Airbuses have started, they've begun starting engine number 1 first, before anybody pulls me up for it. I do know about that. Okay, we're going to go and switch this to TA. We'll also go and put the taxi light on while we're waiting for the engine to come up. So the engine will finish its ignition sequence at about 55%, I think, on the N2. So N2 is the gas turbine speed, N1 is the turbofan speed. Let's go and set the flaps, and we'll go and double check that on the takeoff performance. So we've got flaps 1, yeah. And there you go, look, 1 plus F. Okay, so we need to go and set the predictive wind shear as well. Always forget to do that. So engine number 2 is started. Now we're going to advance the ignition for engine number 1. And up it comes. So we've done predictive wind shear. I'm just reading my checklist off on the second screen. As soon as the engines are up and running, we can switch off the APU bleed and the auxiliary power unit itself. While we're here then, let's go and arm the ground spoilers. So if you ever wondered about what this is doing, the spoilers along the top of the wings, this pressurizes the hydraulic rams. So they're ready to go at a moment's notice. So we're also going to turn on the anti-lock brakes, not anti-lock brakes, the auto brakes to max. So engine is up to speed. So the ignition can come back to norm now. And overhead the APU bleed can come off and the APU can come off. And we can taxi out to the runway. So let's go and turn head tracking on, if I get the right key to do it. And we'll have a look at the map to get our bearings. So they're probably going to send us, what's that, Tango, November, Mike, Alpha. Let's see what they say. Providence ground, virtual 073, requesting taxi to runway 23.
Virtual 073, taxi to runway 23 via Tango November, cross runway 16, then Mike, Alpha.
Yeah, so it's the right. Okay, we'll keep that on the screen. Taxi to runway 23 via Tango, across runway 16, November, Mike, Alpha, hold short 23, virtual 073. Okay. I'm just going to correct my controls here before I run over this truck. So if we keep an eye on the map, so we're going to go out to Tango, which is along here, and that will come up to runway 16 in a moment. Ah, hello, didn't spot her there, been too busy. the idea is with having the roundabout in the middle of the taxiways. So I'm going to hold short here and request permission to cross runway 16. Providence ground, Virtual 073, holding short to cross runway 16 en route to runway 23.
Piper Hotel Victor Bravo, contact tower on 120.7. Have a good evening.
Somebody just departing.
Frequency change 120.7. Hotel Victor Bravo. Good evening.
Let's go again. Providence ground, Virtual 073, requesting clearance to cross runway 16.
Virtual 073, cross runway 16 approved.
So we carry on down November for a little way. So second left is onto Mike. The signage is actually quite good on most of these airports, so it'd be interesting to see if this one's good. Yeah, you can see Mike is just coming. So the signs make sense. So we turn left onto Mike, make sure there's no aeroplanes rumbling along the taxiway towards it. And we hold short for 23. Providence ground, Virtual 073, holding short runway 23. So we should go to tower now. They should have handed us over, really. It's not incumbent upon ground to take you to tower.
Contact tower on 120.7 for departure clearance.
Contacting tower 120.7 for departure clearance, Virtual 073. Good day. Yeah, so it's not incumbent upon ground to do that. It's kind of a convention that you're expected to just go to tower when you get near to the holding point. Providence Tower, Virtual 073, holding short runway 23 for departure as filed to Rochester.
Virtual 73, Providence Tower, runway 23, winds 160 at 9er. Fly runway heading, cleared for takeoff.
Fly runway heading, cleared for takeoff, 073. So we're going to line up and pause for a moment because we have some things to do. Because there's only one of us, remember, we haven't got arms on the back of our shoulder blades to do extra things around the cockpit. So we're going to go and put the landing lights on. And we're going to go and turn the nose light to take off. Going to go and put the strobes to on. The auto brakes are already on max. Takeoff config test. So on the
826, you're leaving my airspace.
ECAM, you can see takeoff config test is still lit up. So I'm going to go and press it down. It says normal, which means the airplane's fully configured. So the plane kind of checks its own homework, basically. Okay, so we keep an eye on the flight plan as well. full throttle. Should we put the head tracking on so we can at least look around as we're rumbling along? Rotate. Gear up. Autopilot is on. It should start banking right anytime soon. We're keeping the flaps in at the moment. We're keeping toga power on.
Virtual 073, contact departure.
Contacting departure 073. So have we got it up here? Yes, we have. Providence departure, virtual 073, departing runway 23, climbing 3,000 feet en route to Rochester as filed.
Virtual 73, Providence departure, radar contact. Climb and maintain flight level 320, turn right heading 310, vectors to Putnam, then own navigation.
Turning vectors for Putnam, flight level 320, 073. Okay, so throttles are now in the climb descent, which means the auto throttle will, manage speed mode will work. And the flaps can come up now. Should put the OFP on the screen. So next thing for us to do, we're over the US, so it's going to be 18,000 feet for the transition altitude, 10,000 feet for the lights to come off. The auto brakes turn themselves off. We don't need the ground spoilers armed anymore. And we're on our way to Rochester. So I'm going to turn the head tracking off for a moment, just so we can focus on what's going on in the cockpit. So we're coming up through 7,500 feet. Let's go and increase the range now on the navigation display. So there's the Putnam VOR. It's looking good. So we see if we've got any constraints. I don't think there should be any. Yeah, it was just the ones immediately after takeoff.
KPVD, the Providence departure, Piper 308 Julia Tango requesting takeoff clearance, IFR from North Central, block.
I am working on that clearance. Stand by. Boxcar 1, climb and maintain flight level 290.
Flight level 290, Boxcar 1.
So it's just gone through 10,000 feet, so it's accelerating. That's why it dropped the nose. So this is the point at which we retract the lights and turn all of the landing lights and stuff off. We leave the strobes on. So it will get to its target airspeed and then it will increase the climb rate again. "10 miles from Putnam." So Nev Haycox is saying, can you set the frames per second outputted by the PC to match the refresh rate of the TV? Yes. I don't. I half it. In the settings of Flight Simulator on the PC, there's a thing called VSync. There's two options going on actually in concert with each other. I tell the simulator to target 30 frames a second. My monitor is 60 frames a second. But I think in the menu, without going and looking at it, you can target 50% of the monitor refresh rate, or even 25%. So if you had a crazy 120 Hz screen, you can actually target a quarter of that refresh rate. And then there's another option called VSync, which means that the rendering of the simulator will time itself to be in sync with the monitor refresh
At our
rate.
10 o'clock, about 9 miles out, we can spot the Quinbog River. This river is not just a pretty sight, it has a fascinating history. The Quinbog River runs through Connecticut and Massachusetts and was a crucial transportation route for Native Americans long before European settlers arrived. It was named after the Pequot word Quinbog, which means long tidal river. The river played a vital role in the region's economy, especially during the Industrial Revolution, when mills were built along its banks. Today, it's a popular spot for kayaking, fishing,
climb and maintain
and
flight
enjoying
level
the great
340.
outdoors. So if you ever find yourself
Climbing.
looking for a peaceful escape,
Climbing 340, virtual 073.
worth a visit. Just watch out for the occasional fisherman who might be more interested in catching dinner than looking up at us flying
Should we go
by.
and let the passengers go to the toilet? So what I was saying before, the tour guide jumped in about VSync. So VSync means that the rendering of the frames on the screen will time themselves.
Virtual 073, contact Boston Center on 133.425.
Contacting Boston Center 133.425, virtual 073. Good day. Boston Center, virtual 073 with you, climbing to flight level 340 en route to Rochester as filed. I will just get this out of the way and then we'll talk about VSync again.
Virtual 73 Boston Center, good evening.
Yeah, so VSync means the graphics card is going to be... Oh, we need to do the... We've gone through 18,000 feet, haven't we? Sorry. I'm rubbish at multitasking, as you've seen. VSync means...
274, descend and maintain 2500.
That's not us. VSync means that the rendering of the screen is going to be synchronized with the frequency of the screen, so the frames will be prepared
2274, roger, descend and maintain 2500.
and timed to match the rate of the frequency. Are they ever going to shut up on the radio? This is the problem of having ATC and then trying to talk to people on the live stream comments. You just get interrupted all the time. Anyway, yeah, so VSync means that the graphics card is going to fall in sync with the refresh rate of the screen. If it can't, it won't try to draw the frame. If it can't do it in time, it won't draw the frame. So that it prevents tearing, but at the expense of, if you're, pushing up against the limit of your frame rate that you can render on whatever hardware you have, it might mean you have missed frames, but you won't get tearing. So you won't get... tearing basically means it got halfway through drawing the frame before it started drawing the next one, or it ran out of time to draw the frame. That's what causes tearing that you sometimes see
Virtual
across the
73
screen.
Boston Center, climb and maintain flight level 380.
Climbing flight level 380, virtual 073. So yeah, in summary, there's two things going on the PC version of Flight Simulator. You can target a frame rate as a percentage of the monitor rate, and you can also have VSync on, which means it will prepare the frames before, to be in time with the refresh rate of the monitor. There's a whole load of other stuff these days, though, especially on the NVIDIA cards. There's these various modes for superscaling. So basically, all it really means is you can have the simulator render at a lower resolution, and then hardware on the graphics card in real time upscales it. So it means that the graphics card is actually drawing less in, to draw the scene, so it can do a faster frame rate. It's got various names like frame generation, and each of the major graphics card makers have their own name for it. Also, the really big powerful graphics cards, part of frame generation, they can do tweening. So the simulator doesn't have to render every frame. The graphics card can fill in between frames to make it seem smoother than it is, and they use AI to do it as well, which is just stunning to me. So the graphics card can not only upscale, it can tween the frames. And it can do it in hardware, so fast you wouldn't believe. But the problem with upscaling and frame generation, or tweening the frames, is it's not going to be perfect, because it's making a good guess at what the in-between frame or the upscaled frame should look like. So you'll start to get garbled. If there's small text, it might get a bit garbled. So like trying to read instruments across the cockpit might become fun and games, or it may become noticeable. And the more you turn it up, the worse it will get.
Boston Center, Southwest 41 Juliet, 5000. Southwest 1 Juliet, Boston Center. Good evening. Altimeter 2980.
Okay, we're coming up to 28,000 feet.
Southwest 41 Juliet.
I wonder if we'll get any more
Southwest 41 Juliet, altimeter 2980, verify.
So if we go and have a look on a little nav map. Actually, we could do this in Navigraph as well. If we zoom out, let's go and turn off that chart.
Virtual 073, I'll start your descent in about 20 minutes.
Copy that, Boston Center. Thank you, Virtual 073. It's funny, I got found out at work this week. One of my co-workers called me the other morning, and he said his wife's just had a child, so he had his paternity leave, and while the kid was asleep and nothing was going on around the house, he started playing Flight Simulator for the first time, I think, and he needed to find out how to do something with the C208 Caravan. So he's doing he's joined one of the online airlines. I think it's Fly UK he might have joined. And some of their early missions are flying around in a caravan around Australia and Tasmania. And he couldn't figure out how to do something in the caravan, so he went searching on YouTube, and guess who he found? So I got the Inquisition that morning saying, "You never told us about this." It was quite amusing. Because not many people I know that I do this on YouTube at all. It's quite amusing. Yeah, I know it may seem strange to some, but this is not my day job. This is just a bit of a hobby in the evenings. Okay, let's turn the range up on the navigation display so we can see what's coming in the distance. We were going to go and look at Navigraph, weren't we, and see if we can get any sectors to show up. I don't think they will they? Maybe if you zoom out far enough, they might. There you go. You can see them now. So we're not going to switch sectors. We're just on Boston, which is, if we look on here, look, Boston Center is, you can see it very clearly on little nav map. If you turn on the sectors, and we go and look over here, we just click in the middle of nowhere. You've got Boston airspace there, look. 0 to 18,000 feet, and then you've got Boston again, 18,000 to unlimited. Yeah, so if you go and click somewhere else just to show you, Little Nav Map's very good at interpreting the sectors and stacking them on top of each other so you can see the different altitude bands. and you know who's controlling what altitude bands. So yeah, it's like a three-dimensional patchwork, the sky, in terms of who controls where.
At our 1 o'clock, about 25 miles out, we can see Natural Bridge State Park. This park is home to the only natural marble arch in North America, formed over 500 million years ago.
No,
the bridge itself is a stunning geological feature that attracts nature lovers and geology enthusiasts alike. It was discovered in the early 1800s and has been a popular spot for visitors ever since. The park offers beautiful hiking trails and picnic areas, making it a perfect spot for families and outdoor adventurers. Legend has it that the area was once a sacred site for Native Americans, who believed the natural formations held spiritual significance. So, as we fly by, just imagine the stories this ancient rock could tell if it could talk.
There we go. So we're turning, well, we've already turned, look, we're going off towards the, no, what's the name of the VOR? The Cambridge VOR. And then we turn over towards the Syracuse VOR. So top of descent will be, because we're climbing all the way up to 38,000, aren't we? It's going to be somewhere about 40 miles short of Syracuse. So this leaves me enough time to go grab a coffee while we're en route. So I'm just going to put this on a nice view so you get to see the aeroplane. And I'll be back in a few minutes. Okay, I'm back. Let's go and have a look.
Hotel Victor Bravo.
So I've not missed any communications, which is
Cessna
always
Hotel
good.
Victor Bravo. Contact Providence approach on 125.75 for further instructions.
So there's a good one here. Look, destination EFOB below minimum.
50 Hotel Victor Bravo.
So we're probably cutting it a bit fine on the amount of fuel, and the wind may have changed from the forecast while we've been flying. So what we can do is go into performance, I think it is. Actually, let's go and do the approach data as well while we're at it. But before we do that, is it in init? I can never remember where this is. Next, oh, there we go, destination EFOB. So if we put 1 in there, it will stop complaining at us. Oh, we're not allowed. Interesting. But we're going to be descending in a moment anyway. So we're going to go next phase, and there's descent, and here we go. So QNH. So let's go and have a look in Navigraph at Rochester, and we're going to go information, open the airport, go to the weather, and we want the QNH, which is going to be, it's going to be, because this is an Airbus, it's going to be in hectopascals, so 1020. You can configure the Airbus to work in inches, but it's a European aeroplane, so it's decimals all the way down the road, so it's going to be centigrade as well. So 16 centigrade on the ground in Rochester. Magnitude of the wind is 60 degrees 11 knots, so 60/11. And then we've got the baro or radio minimum altitudes. So let's go and have a look. ILS. So if you look down here, they usually have them right here. Yeah, there we go. Look, so radio altitude would be 157 feet. If you were using the baro, it would be 685. So that's your decision altitude. Would it be 685 feet, or radio altitude over the ground 157 feet? On a cat, it's only a Cat 1 ILS. That's interesting. So 157 we'll put in on radio. You can't do both. Okay. So then landing config is, it's saying flaps 3. That's interesting. We could go flaps full. Is it going to let us? No, it's not going to let us. That's interesting as well. Next phase. Okay, we'll leave that as it is then. So if we zoom out, how far have we got to top of descent? There it is, about 80 miles out. So when we get near top of descent, we'll put in our first target for descending. So if we close this off, what we're looking at here, oh, of course there's no, this is an interesting one then. There's no standard terminal arrival route. So this is our first real reference. If we do fly via G, there's no altitude for that. There's only, really, the ILS is the only thing to go by, and that's 2,000 feet, look. Or 2,600 at FEPUG. Yeah? So when we get near top of descent...
At our 11 o'clock, about 16 miles out, we can see Players Park. Now, while it may not be the Grand Canyon, it's an amusement park is a fun spot for families and thrill seekers alike. Established in the late 1990s, Players Park features a variety...
Okay, that shut the tour guide up. I've just thrown her out of the window of the airplane. Anyway, what was I talking about? Oh yes, we need to work out, because we're not doing a standard terminal arrival route. Obviously the Airbus projects it onto the route anyway, so you see on the navigation display, oh hello, what's going on with this? You can see it marked in. But if you don't have that and you just still want to figure out, okay, how far away do we need to start descending from? I'm going to do this in a little nav map because I can draw on the map in little nav map. Most airliners in a glide will descend at about 1,700 feet a minute. And what that calculates, or 1,800 feet, somewhere around there, 1,750, what that works out at is, they call it, I think it's the 3-to-1 rule. So for every 1,000 feet you need to descend, you need 3 miles. So we're at 38,000 feet, we need to get to 3,000 feet or thereabouts. So we need to lose 35,000 feet. So 35 times 3 is going to be over 100 miles. Yeah, so it just gives you that kind of rule of thumb of how far do we need to go. So if we look here, this bar here is 8 miles, so another 7 miles there. There's another 4.5 miles. So we got 12, maybe 20. If you say 20 out to here, just to round it up to a sensible number, and then how far is that? 70. So about, yeah. So it's around that mark. Look. So if you imagine that's being 100 to get out to here, we know it's more than 100. Because 35 times 3 is a little bit more than 100. So someone's commenting saying streaming at 5 past midnight. Yep. I did debate about not doing it tonight and doing a flight tomorrow at some point, but then I thought, oh, there's nothing else going on and it's too hot to sleep tonight. It's like a furnace outside. So I had a coffee and thought, let's go and have a look at this Providence scenery that came out from Inibuilds. So if you saw the earlier part of the stream, you'll have seen Providence, Rhode Island. Not been to Rochester in the sim before either. I completely picked this at random. I thought, oh, that's a nice kind of distance to do. Okay, should we go and increase the range on the co-pilot's nav display as well? There we go. So we've got the destination data in. It'll be interesting to see what happens when we get a bit closer, to see if SayIntentions, as soon as we get past the Syracuse VOR, we may well get vectors. So this whole going via G is not known to the controllers. We've penciled it in. But the arrivals at Rochester may give us completely different instructions.
United Tree 24 contact Yankee approach on 125.35.
Boston Center, Mountain 8310, with you 8000 level.
Should we pull up the progress on the other side of the cockpit? I can never remember how this works. There we go. Took a while to load it, didn't it? Let's go and have a look as well on Navigraph, some of the tricks it can do, which I always forget to go and have a look at, is to turn the weather on. So if we turn the weather down to... Oh, there's a bit of rain just to the south of Rochester, but there's nothing over Rochester by the look of it. Okay. So we're not actually flying an airway, are we? Yes, we're jumping across the airways, really. So we could go and put this on. Oh, if we put IFR low on, it's not on a low chart, is it? No. If we put VFR on and then zoom in, you get to see the places we're going over. Which is this river that we're passing by? Let's zoom in on it. The Mohawk River. If we go and look in the little nav map, we'll see if there's any... No, it's fairly flat land, isn't it, across here? So obviously it gets really interesting the further north you get up here. And there's some really interesting areas around here as well. Okay, so we're getting close to top of descent. We're about 40 miles away from it now. I say close, yeah, 40 miles away. But when you're doing...
Virtual 073, when you're ready to begin your descent, descend and maintain flight level 210.
Okay, we may as well start going down early then. Descending flight level 210, virtual 073. So we're going to set to go to 210. Now we can't go managed mode because it won't do it at any more than 1,000 feet a minute because we're not on descent for the runway yet. So we're going to go open descent. Yeah, so I clicked the bottom of the knob, which means pull it towards us, which means to the aeroplane means do what I've been told rather than try to figure it out for myself. So it says op des, open descent, and it's holding the speed and just dropping out of the sky basically. So engines are at idle. So it's interesting to see, look, at this altitude it's managing to descend at 3,000 feet a minute. We could increase that by throwing the spoilers out, but we're not going to. Shall we ask the let's have a conversation with the controller and see what they say. If we tell them we're expecting the G transition into runway 24, let's see what they come back with. On the ILS approach into 24. So which radar are we talking to at the moment? Boston Center. Boston Center, virtual 073, just confirming we are expecting the G transition on the approach into runway 24 at Syracuse. Apologies, runway 04.
Virtual 073 negative. You are cleared for the ILS approach to runway 4 at Rochester. Syracuse is not your destination. Please confirm your approach clearance.
Oh, yep, that's good then. They picked me up on it, look. I said the wrong place
negative.
now.
You are cleared for the ILS approach to runway 4 at Rochester, not Syracuse. Please confirm your approach clearance.
Yes, my mistake. Virtual 073, just confirming the G transition to the runway 04 approach at Rochester.
Virtual 073, descend and maintain 14,000. Virtual 073, affirmative. Expect the G transition for the ILS approach to runway 04 at Rochester.
Fantastic. Descending at flight level 140, virtual 073. That is getting very good, isn't it? The SayIntentions, obviously the artificially intelligent flight controller made sense of what I'd said. I'd misspoke. I said the wrong runway and the wrong airport, and it picked me up on it. And it asked me to confirm what my intentions actually were, because I was not cleared into Syracuse. We're going via Syracuse to Rochester. It's very good. Pull the range down on the navigation display. Down to 26,000 feet now. So, as you can see on the display, there's this green dot, which means we are below the original descent profile. And that's because we are in open descent following the controller's instructions.
Allegiant 414, contact Boston Center on 133.25.
So while we're on our way in, let's go and double check. We'll put this back on auto. So let's pull up the ILS. Oh, there is a Cat 2. Interesting. Anyway, 110.7, 44 degrees. That's all I wanted to check. So if we go into the radio navigation page, 110.7, and it says 42 degrees. Close enough. So we're good to go. So when we get within, well, when we turn towards the runway, we'll turn landing system on, which will put all the symbology up for the ILS. So let's go and move our view slightly. Looks very pretty out there, doesn't it? Yeah, the misspeaking on the radio, that is a direct result of trying to fly an Airbus at midnight. I wonder if they fixed the map in this that was broken. Or maybe it hasn't got a map. I'm thinking of the other airplane, aren't I? The A300 probably. I think that's got the map on the tablet. So the convention in the Airbus aircraft is if a button is dark, that's good. It's kind of its normal state. The tiredness is really starting to hit me now. I'm surviving on coffee for the next 20 minutes until we get on the ground. Coming down to 18,000 feet, so that's the transition altitude in the US. We need to go and find out the 1020 hectopascals is the local barometric pressure to the destination airport. So in a few seconds we will be doing that. I can get ready now. Look, 1020, it's already on that. We're good to go. We've got a 35 knot headwind at the moment. So when we get to 10,000 feet, which we won't because we're targeting 14,000 at the moment, but when we get to 10,000 we'll turn the lights on again, the landing and the, well, the nose light doesn't come on until the gear comes down. Shall we look from that side? Okay. It's funny, I know the the Airbus, the Inibuilds Airbus, had its detractors early on, but I actually don't mind it. I think it works really well. I know the Phoenix is better from a systems, detail point of view. Maybe I'll do a Phoenix flight over the weekend, just to refresh my memory. I know the Phoenix has got a lot more detail in the performance data, and it's also got more around the communication with the crew through the MCDU with messages for payload. Right, so we're going to announce to the ground that we're at 14,000. So what was the name of it again? It was Boston Center. Boston Center Virtual 073, now at flight level 140.
Virtual 073, roger. Maintain flight level 140.
Maintaining flight level 140, Virtual 073. So presumably they'll give us more clearance to descend in about another 50 miles by the look of it.
Virtual 073, contact Rochester approach on 123.7.
Contacting Rochester approach 123.7, Virtual 073. Good day. Rochester approach, Virtual 073 with you, flight level 140 for the G transition onto the approach for ILS for runway 04.
Virtual 73, Rochester approach. Good evening, Rochester. Altimeter 30.12. Expect the ILS runway 4 approach into Rochester.
Expecting the ILS runway 04 approach into Rochester 073. Rochester approach, Virtual 073, just confirming we have the G transition for the runway 04 ILS approach. Is that correct?
Virtual 073, Rochester approach. Good evening. Rochester altimeter 30.12. Expect the ILS runway 4 approach into Rochester.
He's not very communicative, is he? It's like, no, you will not dictate what you want to do. I'm going to tell you what you're going to do.
Virtual 073, descend and maintain 6,000. Altimeter 30.12.
Descending 6,000, altimeter 30.12. So that's an interesting one. We're going to have to go to inches. So what you do is you flick that over 3012. And we tune in 6,000 feet, so we're going to come down to 10,000 now, look. So we'll drop using an open descent to 6,000. And you can see the marker, look, at the point we're going to get to the altitude. Okay. So, on approach, we've been on TA all the way, by the way. On the transponder, we should have been on TARA. But then there was no traffic around anyway, for whatever reason. I think it's because I'm on the Southeast Asia server. I did a group flight the other night with some friends from MyAir, and they always use Southeast Asia, and I forgot to switch it back, so we're not on Western USA, or Eastern USA even, sorry. So that's probably why we're not seeing anybody. So about to come down to 10,000 feet, so landing lights come back on. We'll also go and double check the QNH over this side is the wrong format. And we've also got the backup altimeter to do, which I always forget about. 30.12, that's good. We're getting there. So you can see the airplane's just decelerating. So we're going to help it do that. Just throwing the spoilers out for a few moments. We're going to have a look inside. Let's see. Cranked open, look. Just helping the airplane get to the altitude we want to.
Beechcraft 365, climb and maintain flight level 250.
Climb and maintain flight level 250, Beechcraft, November 365 X-ray.
Rochester departure, Skyhawk 5385 Juliet, with you at 1,400.
November 5385 Juliet, Rochester departure, radar contact.
So should we bring the range down on the navigation display again? You'll see everything come into view. Obviously we can leave the co-pilot display at 80 miles. Just watching the aeroplane carefully. Coming down to 8,000 feet. Targeting 6,000, remember. So when we get to 6,000 feet, we'll do the same again. We'll announce it to arrivals and see what they say. Oh, sorry, approach, not arrivals.
Virtual 073, descend and maintain 3600. Turn left, heading 230 vectors for the ILS runway 4 approach.
Descending 3600 and turning left. Vectors 230 degrees for the ILS runway 4 approach, Virtual 073. So they're vectoring us. I thought that might happen because they're not letting us have G. So we've gone to selected heading mode. Away from the flight plan. We ignore the flight plan now. Now notice there, that's what I was going to show you when we were on the ground earlier. Look, when you're in the air, it turns the flight plan into a dotted line when you're on selected heading mode. So what he's done is put us on a perpendicular route to the runway. So they're going to put us into a big box shape, which is such a classic thing for ATC to do. So if you think about it, the runway's that way, and we've been sent that way. So then they'll turn us and bring us back in at some point. So we're just dropping to 5,100 feet, targeting 36. What's the actual altitude of the ground? Let's go and find some reference areas nearby. So Pen Yan is at 900, so that's 1,000 feet. So that, yeah, so if things around here are between 500 and 1,000 feet, that will put us at 3,500 feet at the 2,500 feet required to intercept the ILS. What's the actual altitude of the runway at Rochester? 500 feet. Yeah, so we'll be about 3,000 feet then, coming in over the ground when we turn back in. Did we turn the lights on? Yeah. Shall we have a look at them? It's a bit windy out there, isn't it? Look at it moving around.
Alpha, altitude at your discretion. Altitude at my discretion, 5 Romeo Alpha. 5 Romeo Alpha, what's your final? 5 Romeo Alpha heading to Scanny Atlas, but I do not need flight following.
Okay, so we just follow the vectors now. I'm not sure if you can send notices to the cabin in this aeroplane.
Virtual 073, turn right heading 255.
Turning right 255, 073. Yeah, I know the fly-by-wire, you can do announcements to the cabin, can't you? And to be fair, in this as well, we could do it. So if we go into SayIntentions, it can simulate the cabin crew. So we can go in here and say we want the cabin crew, and we want Caroline from England in the cabin behind us. So please, sorry, we want this one, don't we? Please prepare the passengers for landing.
Virtual 073 negative, turn left heading 240 vectors for the ILS runway 4 approach.
Passengers for landing.
It's because I did a miscommunication.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is your lead flight attendant, Caroline speaking. We are now preparing for our final approach into Frederick Douglass, Greater Rochester.
240 degrees for the ILS 04.
Your seats are in the upright position, and all carry-on items are stowed away. The weather at our destination is 16 degrees Celsius with scattered clouds. We will be landing shortly, so please make sure you are ready for our arrival. Thank you.
Did I put the seatbelt sign back on? I should have had that on at the start of descent. There's always something I miss, isn't there?
$2,500.
Gusting crosswind that's making the airplane wobble around a little bit. I wonder if they brought us down this low because of this poor visibility. Rather than keep us at kind of 8,000 feet and then drop us in at the last moment. It'd be nice to see, actually. I wonder if SayIntentions will ever share some of the logic the controllers work to. So, NM Flyer is saying, are you going to try the Starship? Yes. Yeah, it's gonna. I'm looking forward to it. Because in 2024 we've had no...
073, turn right heading 270.
Turning right 270, 073.
4 Romeo Alpha, contact Cleveland Center on 128.025.
Over to Cleveland Center on 128.025 for Romeo Alpha. Over to Cleveland on 128.025 for Romeo Alpha.
Terrain's pretty wicked, isn't it?
$2,500.
Do you know, I don't trust these controllers. We are far too low. Although it can often be an optical illusion in the sim. So what we could do is go and put terrain on, couldn't we? Okay, so the landing checklist came up there for a moment. Here we go. So, spoilers, need to arm them. Oh, it's gone off again. It's to do with speed, isn't it? Of course it's come on. So they're going to turn us another 40 degrees to the right in a moment, maybe. Vector us in through G. Why is the terrain
2,500
radar not working? That's the weather radar.
Virtual 073, proceed direct phage pug, descend and maintain 2600 until established on the localizer, cleared for the ILS runway 4 approach.
2,500.
Proceed direct VPUG, descend and maintain 2600 until established on the localizer, cleared for ILS runway 04 approach, virtual 073. So we're going to go straight in now for the beginning of the... I'm not going to descend yet. I'm going to wait until we're almost on top of the runway. So let's go and double check this and see how far out that is. So yeah, we've got ages. We'll come in through here at it's 500 feet, wasn't it, ground level? So that gives us a 500. Yeah, we've got plenty of time. So we're going to, seeing as we're on vectors anyway, rather than let this do anything, we're going to take control and get the speeds down.
Flight level 110.
Give ourselves plenty of time to make decisions. So wind is behind us, 10 knots. We're dropping down to 220 knots. Flaps 1 can come in at 230, so we're going to go flaps 1. We're coming back out of the rain anyway. How come we've got the display on that side but not this side?
2,500.
So we're going to put landing system on now. We should pick up the ILS in a few moments' time. We're probably almost within range. Yeah, we're coming back out of the weather now, so it's not too bad, and it's flat as a pancake out here, so we can drop down to 3,000 feet, which is 2,500 feet over the ground, remember, because the airfield's at 500 feet. And there's the airport. It's out that way somewhere. It's quite a long way out. Is that it over there? I can see something flashing in the distance. They may have kept us low to avoid being, maybe for all we know, the storm at altitude was much worse. So maybe they brought us in underneath it on purpose. We weren't too low, we were always 2,500 feet over the ground. And the limit is 1,000 feet over any built up areas. So we've now got the localizer showing up. Obviously it's off to our left, significantly to our left. So we're just swinging round towards FEPUG. And here comes the glide slope. It's just gone whizzing off above the... So we're below the glide slope, which is good. So what we're going to do now, because this is boring, is go and turn the autopilot off.
Virtual 073, contact Rochester Tower on 118.3.
Contacting Rochester Tower 118.3, virtual 073. Why have we got a warning? Oh, it's because the autopilot. Because I turn the autopilot off, it doesn't like it. Okay, so now we can...
Endeavour 5289.
We need to contact them, don't we? Rochester. Let's turn the auto throttle off as well, and slow down a bit. Rochester Tower, virtual 073 with you on approach runway 04, captured the ILS.
Virtual 73, Rochester Tower, wind 070 at 11, runway 4, cleared to land.
Clear to land, runway 04, copy the weather, virtual 073. So all we're doing now is getting the glide slope in place. So we're getting the center line lined up and holding altitude until we're on the glide slope. You can see the runway out in front of us, and we're slowing down and extending the flaps as we go. So we're on the glide slope now, pretty much on the center line.
2,500.
So obviously Airbuses, you can land them fully automatically, but where's the fun in that? So let's have a little look at this from outside before we get too close. Okay. So most of the fun games is about getting the airplane stabilized. So the trick behind that is just to give yourself enough time. Obviously, if you know the airplane really well, you can get onto a stabilized approach very quickly. What I mean by stabilized is you're not having to fight it to keep it on the the localizer and the glide slope and to maintain speed. So obviously knowing an aeroplane well, if you fly it enough, and I never do on these, you know, I'm flying something different every day. But if you know an aeroplane well, then you know how to set it up to get it stable. Obviously Airbuses are a bit easier than most because they're fly-by-wire. So you're not really flying the aeroplane, you are directing it.
$1,000.
Do they not have puppy lights here? Doesn't look like it, does it? So we got a nose wind, or the wind is on our nose, look, 15 knots at the moment. Slight crosswind vector, but not much.
5 Romeo Alpha, contact departure. Switching to departure, 5 Romeo Alpha.
Hand is on the throttles now.
Contacting departure, 5 Romeo Alpha.
Low. Let's get it back onto the glide slope. It's going to be a bit turbulent, isn't it? This wind that's in our face is going to kick over those trees and push us around a little bit. So we'll be expecting a bit of lumpy air just as we come in over the edge of the airfield, but then it should smooth out again.
300. 200. Minimum. 100.
Yeah, it's gone nice and smooth now.
50. 40. 30. 20. Retard. 10. 5. Retard.
I'm just trying to fight it. It's trying to go sideways. And reverses. They're not slowing it down very much, are they? So we're going to go long. I was hoping we might have made the high-speed taxiway there, but no. It was interesting that the airplane started to rotate when it touched the floor, because we didn't really have a crosswind vector.
Virtual 073, welcome to Rochester. Contact ground on 121.7.
Contacting ground 121.7, virtual 073.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have just landed at Frederick Douglass Greater Rochester International Airport. On behalf of Captain Jonathan, First Officer, and the entire crew, we thank you for flying with us today. Please remain seated with your seatbelts fastened until we have reached our final parking position. Did you know that Rochester is known for its innovation and was the birthplace of several famous companies, including Eastman Kodak? It's also home to the Strong National Museum.
We need to go
of Maine,
and
which is a fantastic
contact
place
ground
for families.
and get taxi
The
instruction.
local time here is 7:50 p.m. We hope you enjoyed your flight with us and look forward to seeing you again soon.
So we are at Echo and we want to go to the gates. So Rochester ground, virtual 073 at Echo after departing runway 04, requesting taxi to parking.
Virtual 073, taxi to A1 via Echo Alpha, cross runway 10, then Charlie. Have a good day.
Echo Alpha. Okay. And then cross runway 10. Yeah. Taxi to Alpha 1 via Echo Alpha, cross runway 10, then Charlie. Virtual 073. So we're going to turn left out of here, stop short runway 10, and then we're eventually going to taxi to A1, which must be... We need the other chart, don't we? Let's go and have a quick look before we move. So if we go and pull up the information for the airport, open the charts, go
Ground
for
altimeter check for Delta 1828.
taxi charts, we want
Thank you.
the gates, that's the one.
Delta 1828, you're welcome.
Oh, that is the one. That is the one we're looking at. That hasn't got the gates on it. Maybe it's just up here, isn't it, basically? So, we need to go left turn. So, someone's saying the co-pilot is useless. I haven't got the co-pilot switched on. So we're going to have to get permission to cross the runway. Rochester ground, virtual 073, requesting clearance to cross runway 10.
1 second while I grab the paperwork.
No.
Virtual 073, you still have an open flight plan. Please be sure to close that one first via the new flight button.
They didn't understand, did they? Okay, we're just going to go. There are limits to what... Obviously, it's improving all the time, but now and again, SayIntentions doesn't understand what you're getting at. It's because I said clearance. It misunderstood the sentence. So now we're away from the runways, the strobe can come off. When they demonstrated 2024 before it came out, they had all of all of the airplanes had regional paint jobs, and I haven't seen very many of them at all. I wonder if there's been an issue with it, with licensing, or I wonder if there has been a problem along the way that they've kept quiet about. Okay, let's come in here. Okay, parking brake on. And we've got the APU up and running, so we should be able to just switch the engines off. But the other way we can do this, if you don't want to do it that way, notice that it's a click there, isn't it? It's the ground. There's something behind there. It's the latch for the sunshade. So we're going to toggle the GPU. GPU is now available.
Rochester delivery, Beechcraft November 365 X-ray at U.S. airports. Has Lima ready to copy IFR clearance to Block Island.
I'll grab that clearance. Give me just a minute.
Engines are off. Cabin crew, you're free now to deboard the passengers.
Okay, Captain, we are free to deboard the passengers.
Attention all aircraft. Information India is now current. Altimeter 3014.
Dear passengers, we have now reached our final parking position. Captain Jonathan and the cabin crew are now saying goodbye. We wish you a nice stay here in Rochester or safe ongoing travel. Thank you for flying with us today.
That's interesting, isn't it? I cycled the power then, and you saw everything going bananas. I did it a bit early, because we need to go and turn a few things off. Okay, so we can now go and turn the power off, turn the batteries off, and we're golden dark. So there we go. We did a flight from Rhode Island over to Rochester, and it was fairly smooth smooth flying, wasn't it? It went okay. We used SayIntentions along the way for air traffic control. We ran a little nav map which has got our route plumbed in there. And we had Navigraph running in the background as well, which gave us really good information along the way. And we used OBS to transmit to the internet. Anyway, hopefully you enjoyed that this evening. So that was the Inibuilds Airbus version 2, A320 version 2. I am going to call it a night. I'm going to go and collapse in a heap somewhere. And I'll see you over the weekend at some point in the air, somewhere in the simulator. I'm not sure what I'm going to be covering this weekend. I'll figure that out. Probably I might do some more of the round the world trip. We'll wait and see. Anyway, thanks ever so much those that have been following along, and I'll see you all again soon. Take care.